Your initial reaction was fairly positive to Saturday. Now it's film. Is it any different? What did you see on film?
Yeah, I think generally positive. I mean, we certainly could look at that, our shot profile. I like the profile overall of the shots. I think that I think we're all really excited to play. I think our aggression in general is a positive thing. We want them to be really aggressive, but I do think that it takes a little bit of time. Like first game out, new group, like there's probably 20% of our shots where like they're shots that we can make, but relative to where we are in the possession, is that the one we want at 23 in the shot clock, or do we need to get to another action and try to improve that? Like there were certainly some of those that are like, yeah, that's a good shooter and he can make it, but if we move the ball, we touch the paint a second time, things like that, we could upgrade the value of those shots. So we certainly want to do that. That's some of the things that we talked about. But yeah, generally I thought, 80%, specifically like the threes, about 80% of those are shots we definitely want.
Defensively speaking, I don't expect you guys in game one to have anywhere near the communication you've talked about your guards last year had, that sometimes they were doing things you guys didn't even know they just had a communication. That comes with time and playing with each other. But were you happy defensively with what you guys got on Saturday?
With certain aspects of it, I was pleased. I thought our effort was good. Thought we had plays with where guys are making multiple efforts. We're getting two on the ball. We're getting a rotation. We're getting two on the ball again and making plays. So generally, I thought our effort was good. I thought our physicality was good. Obviously, that led to some foul trouble, and we got to adjust to that. But there's definitely some things to clean up execution-wise. We allowed too many points in the paint. We allowed too many middle drives. We allowed too many straight line drives without making them change direction. So there's some things that we're trying to do defensively that we did execute well, and some things that we certainly need to improve. And I would include, I mentioned the physicality, but like our foul discipline was poor. Like recognition of, okay, we're in the bonus. We can't foul people in the bonus. Like we probably had 6 in the backcourt. Like they didn't even come across half court and they're going to the free throw line. Like that's not going to work. Like we have to have more discipline and better execution than that.
And then the last one I asked him was, since he's been Jake's hype man, if he was more surprised about him missing 10 shots or Jake missing 10 shots. I'll ask you the same thing. You more surprised that Deyton went 1 for 11 or that Jake missed 10 shots?
Honestly, probably Deyton. I mentioned the shots. I take all 12 of those from Jake Hall all over again. Like, feel great about his shot selection and that volume. Like, that's exactly what we want from him. And if he gets those same looks consistently, he'll have some big nights. But Deyton's at the rim, and I think Deyton's a really good finisher and has a body of work as a college player of really finishing at the rim. And part of that is Washington State has pretty good size and some rim protection, and maybe we don't provide that same look in practice all the time. So there's an adjustment period. But Deyton at the rim, like, is going to be one of our most efficient offensive finishes, and so I think proximity and I think he probably also easily, the amount of fouls getting called, like he could have gotten a couple more trips to the free throw line. Can't always control that stuff, but if he draws 2 more fouls and now he's only missing 8 and getting to the free throw line. So I think both those guys can be much more efficient on offense. I think they've shown the ability to be efficient offensive players, and so we're not going to overreact to one performance.
I'm curious your approach to a second exhibition game. Like, do you treat it more like an exhibition game where you're giving a lot more guys minutes, a lot more substitutions, or since it's so close to the actual season, do you treat this more of an actual game, having a lineup that would be more similar to what you expect in an actual game?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that I think internally we've talked about with where we are, number of new players. I think there's still some looks that we need to get on the floor. some groups that we need to see play together. I think there's still an evaluation phase, and honestly, that might not end on Thursday. Like we have to just continue to, like we've learned what we can learn practicing against each other for the most part, right? And so now we need these reps against other teams that are going to show us different coverages, different defenses, different styles. And so there's the in-practice internal evaluation phase, and then you do need to get some reps against other opponents. And I think you only get 2 exhibition games, and so we're really trying to make the most of that to really evaluate our group and try to figure out the best ways to maximize the players and put them in positions of strength.
In terms of evaluation, if there was like one thing that you want to see for like a sign of encouragement before the season starts, what are you really looking for tomorrow?
Well, I'd like us to, we felt like a lot of the things that we struggled with in the first in the first exhibition are controllable things, right? Which is what you'd like to have, right? If you feel like we can fix it, that's more encouraging than not having a solution to the things that you're struggling with. So, I'd like us to see us have more discipline defensively and foul a little bit less, maybe a lot less. I'd like to see, multiple paint touches, more like string together good decisions. Like for us, we feel like the highest value shots are going to come off, a good end to drive decision followed by ball movement, maybe second good end to drive decision. That could be pass or score at the end of those. Or maybe it's a different version of that. Like we move the ball, we get one, paint touch with a good end to drive decision. We move the ball again. That's going to land on. Like if we can string those sequences together, I think we can upgrade our shot quality. It was okay, but I think like a little more patience, a little better decision making at the end of drives. There's some low-hanging fruit for us to really upgrade our shot quality. So those are like just one thing on each side of the ball that, if we clean up, we think could have a big impact on our performance. So, those are the things that we'd like to see from the first one to the second one is here's some controllable things. These are things we talk about. These are things we work on. We didn't do these at the level we needed to. Let's see that improvement, without sacrificing some of the things we were doing well. That's what I would hope will happen from 1 to 2.
Coach, on the shooting, the shooting numbers are what they are, but kind of across the board, early in the season, most teams don't shoot that well. Last year, Coach Patino's team, I think their first game, they were 7 for 36 from 3. Is that just kind of coming early in the season to not shoot well?
I don't know. I mean, it can, maybe. Like, it just depends. I think it depends on your group a little bit, right? Like, if you have an experienced group and you've been playing together and you're able to, have, foundational execution to create the shots that you want, like, I think I've seen some exhibition scores where everybody's in the 90s and, like, guys are making shots. And so I think it's unique to each team and each outing.
Yeah. And I know you talked about the lineups. You guys are working through things internally. One guy that didn't play on Saturday, Tomato Ponce, will he play tomorrow?
TBD.
And then JT Rock, 8 minutes. I think he came in maybe around the 14-minute mark in the first half, midway through the second half. Total of 8 minutes of play. Was it just a game where kind of the flow made you guys want to give some other guys some looks?
No, I mean, we mostly had, that's about what we had scheduled for JT.
On the shots, on the shot chart, you guys had 0 mid-range, right? It's all paint, rim, or 3-pointers. I'm curious what percentage of your shots, I haven't looked at last year, UCSD, I can look at it, but are you guys, by design, not ever going to take the mid-range?
No, I never say never, right? I think there's time for that. I think we have some guys who can make that mid-range pull-up, and I think there's a time. I think part of the reason that we didn't get to any of those, we're not exactly hunting them, but I think like a lot of times that if you get later in the clock, you sometimes have to, that's the best shot you can get when it's 5-4-3 and you got to make a play. We didn't get late in the clock. Like I can't remember a possession where we were, we weren't counting down the shot clock on the bench. And that's sort of what I was talking about at the beginning, where we got some average shots pretty early and we were aggressive to take them. And so we didn't get into much late clock. And I think that's where sometimes you get more of those mid-range attempts is, all right, we didn't get to the rim, we didn't get a clean look at a three. It's the best we can do on this possession. At the end of the shot clock, you gotta make a play. And so then I think that's a place where sometimes mid-range comes into play. We didn't put ourselves in those situations very often.
All right, you guys as a coaching staff, you got a couple new pieces of coaching staff this year too. I'm curious what you kind of learned from the exhibition about this staff. What adjustments as a staff you guys have to make? You guys break down the film afterwards, first time that you guys in this group have done that as a group. What do you kind of, what's new for you in this exhibition era?
It's a good question. I mean, I think there's just a lot more. There's a lot more sort of conversation and discussion around like how we want to do things and how like what our process is that and I think that's something that we can continue to improve. But having new staff is like we have to provide clarity, right? Here's how this is what at the end this is what we're looking for. This is our process to go through the film. This is our process to evaluate how we played, and so coaches who haven't been with us before, they have their own experiences of what they're looking for, different places they've been. What are you looking for at the end? How are we evaluating how we did? So just trying to get everybody on the same page with that. Our staff is fantastic. They do a great job, and they bring a lot of different ideas, which is great. So it's two-part, right? Like here's how we have done it, trying to give them clarity and understanding of what we're looking at and trying to do, and then trying to be open to their ideas for other ways and things that we can look at and consider and that kind of thing.
Does Mike Hill in film sessions too, or is that just practice? That's not good. Unless he does he? No. Not too much. Players haven't gone through your game film breakdown yet. Now, I imagine you guys watch film from practices and stuff like that, but how are the players adapting to their first film being broken down, especially the freshmen who probably never did this in high school?
Yeah, well, so I don't think the game breakdown was a big adjustment. We watch quite a bit of film, so we're watching film. I mean, we watch film daily. Players watch their practice clips daily with assistant coaches. So, and then we've had a couple team film sessions throughout the course of this, progression. So our film process is very consistent, right? We take the same approach to that, whether it's practice or inter squad or game. There's a team component where we're kind of addressing big picture things. We all need to foul less. We all need to understand these concepts better. And then we also have an individual component of that with each player from this one is going to watch every possession that they played with one of the coaches and kind of go through, what are you doing well, right? Let's do more of that. What are you not doing well? Let's try to fix that, right? Like that's sort of our process every single time. And we try to be consistent with that. And that's not something that changes for us based on results, right? Like we've just, there's always things. Every time you can play really poorly, you can play really well. There's things that you're doing well that you want to build on and amplify, and there's things that you're not that you need to correct. And we try to take that same approach every time.
Coach, how do you guys prepare a game plan early in the season? There's not a lot of film on teams. You got a team in Northern Arizona. I think they got 3 guys back from last year. But how do you guys approach kind of game plan?
We try to identify things. You can never be sure in these situations. Like Washington State, we hadn't seen any film on them for this year. But it's more about like, okay, well, what were they doing early in the year last year? There's probably going to be some overlap. What are the things that are happening the most for them? We're just going to focus on those. If they do some things that are different from what they've seen, or we're not giving them a full comprehensive plan. We're just sort of trying to identify, okay, these are core things. We're somewhat confident we're going to see them. And so then our communication is, all right, one of the things that we're working on in these exhibitions is recognition and communication of like pattern recognition, right? So if we can recognize based on pattern that a certain action is coming and we've prepared for that action, then our expectation is we execute our plan defensively. If it's something that we haven't seen and we don't execute, then that's not necessarily like something that we're going to take away as a big negative, like, oh, they hurt us on this thing. Well, if we didn't prepare for that and we didn't show them that, then that's just kind of part of the process. And early in the year, it's almost less is more, because I'd much rather like identify fewer things that we're confident we're going to see and we execute those things than we give them this really broad, plan, and then you only see some portion of it, and we haven't spent our time wisely there. So we really try to focus on things we're somewhat confident we're going to see, and if we're not sure, then we won't cover that early, because I'd rather just like, hey, here are the things. If we see these, we're going to get them right. Everything else, we just got to follow our principles and figure out.
Coach, your first game in the pit against an opponent, most of these guys on the team, it's their first game in the pit. Think there's some nerves there? Do you expect the guys to come out uptight, or do you think they're ready?
Oh, I think they're excited. I think they're ready to play. I think there's always a little bit of excitement and butterflies when you should feel that every game, every time out. But yeah, I think we're all excited. We've been, hearing about, talking about, waiting for this opportunity. So I think everybody's looking forward to it.
On that note, there's probably going to be more fans in here tomorrow than I'm assuming most games like your coaching career. Can you just talk about how cool that is to have that many people in for an exhibition game?
Well, yeah, the fan base and the support here is special, and it's a big, we've talked about, like, it's a big reason why everyone is here. This is it's program, right? Like, it's bigger than everybody, and it it'll be here after we're all gone, and it's like, so it's just fun to be part of, and we're all looking forward to embracing it and performing in that environment.
Geoff has one last hard-hitting question.
Halloween candy. You have some favorites, and what's your stance on candy corn?
I'm not big. Candy corn tastes like plastic to me, so I don't. Candy corn's not for me. I like more like the sour candy type stuff, like, the gummies and Sour Patch and like some of the sour candy. So I try to pick those out and steal them from my daughters when they're more into the chocolate stuff. So we got a good combo there.
You guys have like an unwritten agreement, basically. They know what you're taking, and they know what they get.
Yeah, they don't love it, but they get so much candy, like it's for their own good. I'm doing them a favor, It's good parenting.
Frozen Snickers, but frozen Snickers bars. I didn't. Look, I guess let's just start with the exhibition Saturday. Obviously, the shooting numbers weren't great. I don't know how often you've gone 1 for 11, but I'll start with you personally, but then the team question. What was it that had you struggling, just shooting-wise?
I would say just being kind of anxious just to play. Kind of me along with all the other guys was talking about it. I feel like we were just so hyped up to play. Everybody just wanted to see the ball go in the basket. I would say some of the shots were kind of forced. For me personally, like I said, just trying to see it go in, but I would never shoot like that again in my life. So, over it, watch the film. We'll get better from it and ready for tomorrow.
So watching the film, the next part of what I want to ask is what did you take from that? I thought defensively, I thought you guys looked good. Offensively, I thought you had some open shots. Obviously, the shooting wasn't good. But now that you guys have watched the film, what did you guys see? Was it a good showing or a bad showing?
I would say more good than bad. Just how terrible, but I wouldn't say how terrible we played, but, how horrible we shot the ball. And we still only lost by like 6. Gave up 43 free throw attempts. They was in the bonus early in the second half. So it's more good than bad. Washington State is a pretty decent team, and, with numbers like that, usually you lose by like 25. So, it's just a learning experience.
And the fouls will be the last one I wanted to ask about is you obviously got like 3 minutes of playing time in that first half. You picked them up quick. When you watched the film, or maybe even in real time you knew this, what was it that you were doing that was getting that whistle blowing so quickly?
I don't think I was doing anything. The first couple of fouls I just thought were soft, just to be honest. One was on a drive. It was a physical drive. I was being physical with the offensive player, but I don't think it was a foul. And, a couple came from fighting in the post, but I just feel like you just got to let it be physical on both ends, especially, when you're only blowing the whistle on one side. I think you got to, just be more even out. But, things like that, you just have to see how the refs are calling the game and just make adjustments.
So coming in as one of the more experienced players on this roster, Coach was telling us that he, expects you to be one of the leaders on this team. How much of a leadership role do you feel like falls on yourself, especially, during these exhibition games, trying to get these guys ready?
A lot. Played a lot of college basketball. Being a starting point guard, it is a lot. But it's something I'm ready for. Just preaching my experience and what I've learned through the years to all the younger guys, and just trying to keep them confident in what's going on. It was just an exhibition game. Just needed some film to watch against another team so we could learn and see where we're at.
And then obviously you've played in this building before. You guys had the Howl. You guys had the exhibition game in Washington State. So I'm curious, does tomorrow feel like a big deal for
Yes.
you, actually getting ready to play in Cherry and Silver in this building?
Most definitely. It feels like the first game of the season. Heard we got 8,000 people showing up, which speaks a lot of volume about the culture of New Mexico basketball. So excited to get started and can't wait to play tomorrow.
And Deyton, to that point, you've played in the pit before, but it'll be the first time for kind of everybody else getting the opportunity to play in the pit. I think there's some nerves from guys on the team. Do you think they're ready to go?
Yeah. There's some nerves, most definitely. We have some freshmen that probably never been in that type of environment before, but talent-wise, I think we're fine. Once guys get in the game, feel the flow, and, see a couple of shots go down, I feel like everything's going to be fine.
And then how do you guys approach game planning for exhibition games? Are you guys focusing more on how you guys can get better? Are you guys kind of watching film from these teams? What goes into the game plan?
Well, the coach has been treating it like it's a normal game. We do normal scout, running through their plays, going through personnel. So we're basically preparing like it's a real game. Season starts in about a week, so it's here.
So you mentioned obviously tomorrow night's going to be a decent crowd, certainly compared to what it was Saturday. Was the environment Saturday in any way, I guess, was any of the struggle related to the fact that you guys drove down in a bus? You guys did both of your morning shoot around and your day before shoot around at a different school. It only had about 500 people there. Any of that play into it?
Nah, I feel like that's an excuse. Don't really like to make excuses. We shot the ball terrible, and that's what it was. I don't think it had nothing to do with driving or any of that, because once the season comes, we're going to have these type of games every other day. No matter if it's 500 people or 8,000 people, we have to be ready regardless.
You guys did have probably 4 times as many people at the Howl even.
Which is crazy.
The shooting results aside, Coach always says, he doesn't care if it's a good shot, he'll live with that, with the result. So the results of the shooting aside, were you guys getting the offense you wanted? Were the shots you guys got on Saturday, first time I got to see, you guys in the game like that. So is what I saw Saturday what you guys wanted to get offensively? Are those the shots you want?
Yeah. I think we shot a lot of threes, but Coach seemed fine about it. I don't think we took any bad. We probably took a couple of bad shots, me personally as well. I felt like I, collapsed the defense a lot, got a lot of guys on me, but wasn't making the correct reads. Like I said, was just I just wanted to see the ball go in the hoop, but, after watching film, learning from it, it's always the better pass, better read, so more high-quality shots next game.
I'm curious, can you just speak on the guys that are, the younger guys or the guys that are coming from smaller schools that don't have as much experience as you? Just talk about how ready they are to play at this level, what you've seen out of those guys, they're ready to compete at this level?
Yeah, I think most definitely. What really surprised me is the talent from our freshmen. Like Coach Olen said in a previous interview, I feel like they're more experienced than normal freshmen in terms of making reads and knowing what's a good shot and a bad shot, because most Division One athletes coming out of high school, was the man on the team, and it's kind of a ego thing to tell a young guy like this is a bad shot, this is a good shot, and differentiating the type of reads they need to make. But for the most part, I think they're doing a good job of that. So.
Deyton, one more about the exhibition. There were some good spots for you guys in that game. You guys closed the first half out on a 14-5 run. I think you guys had a 9-2 run kind of towards the midway point of the second half. How do you carry some of those stretches over into this game?
Just relying on our defense, being defense driven. We preach a lot of defense in practice, trying to get 3 stops in a row. The more of those you pile up, the better chance you have of winning the game, along with defensive rebounding. So just worrying about the defensive end of the floor and the shots going fall. So.
One more.
All right, you've been his hype man, so you more surprised that you missed 10 shots or Jake Hall missed 10 shots?
Jake Hall missed 10 shots. You would never shoot like that again either. Promise.